Well, hello, everyone. I just want to thank everyone for being here today. But I also want to thank a very special group. And I want to give them acknowledgement because this special group has truly helped me achieve the results that I've achieved in my life. Their mere presence has helped me become the person that I am today. And it has been the words that they've spoken and the things that they've done that have given me the courage, the resiliency, and the resolve to keep on going no matter what. Now, you might be asking yourself, who is this group that Johnny's paying homage to right now? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to give a special acknowledgement and thank you to my enemies. I know what you're saying. Enemies? Yes, absolutely. I want to thank those competitors that competed against me, pushing me in sports and in life and in business to win. I want to thank all those situations that I found myself in that I had to work myself out of. And I want to thank all of those things that have been obstacles in my way that I had to learn how to navigate through. These are the enemies that I am talking about that improved me. And that's the idea that I want to share with everyone today, how your enemies can improve your lives. Now, I know what you're saying right now. You're saying, come on, Johnny, how in the world could an enemy improve my life better than a life coach, a mentor, or even a family member? Well, that's pretty simple. Life coaches and mentors and family members can tell us exactly what to do and how to do it. But it is our enemies that share with us where we need to improve, and they give us our true why we need to improve. It is our enemies that push us to be better. It's our enemies that push us to improve, and it's been that way throughout history. As a country, whenever we say to ourselves, we need to improve our economy, our security in our communities, what do? We look first for the enemy of our progress, the enemy of our peace, the enemy of our stability. Whenever organizations and leaders say we need to improve our sales, our performance, and our team morale and organizational growth, what do we look for? We look for the enemy of our sales, of our profitability, and of our productivity. When it comes to ourselves, and we say we've got to improve and I've got to get better, the first thing we do is we look for the enemy to our success. What is holding us back? What is keeping us back? We look for that first. And in each and every one of those cases there, it is not the goal, it is not our vision, but it is the enemy. In our minds, we go out and we search to find and face the enemy. Because when we find and face the enemy in our hearts and minds, we now believe that we can truly improve. Now, keeping that in mind, what I want to share with you here is a quick interpretation of this. When it comes to enemies, I look at enemies that come in three forms: competitors, situations, and things. And if you look at these three forms through the lens of an enemy that is holding you back, you will have more intensity and more desire to push. It is actually our enemies that take us from good to great. And here's some examples that I want to share with you about this idea. Competition. Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, two classic all-star competitors who competed for years against each other, all for that ring, all for that championship, each one getting better, not just to win, but to compete against one another. Iron sharpens iron, each one getting better because they know the road to victory is through one of them. Each one understood that the other was the enemy of their success. So because they had the competition, they pushed, and we as individuals benefited from all of the great games that they played, all of the great showdowns that occurred, all because they were competitors of one another. An enemy is a situation. Dr. Martin Luther King had a dream of justice and equality. But what really creates justice and equality? What gets everybody fired up? It is the pointing out of the enemy to those things. Inequality and discrimination were the enemies of justice and freedom. And as he spoke of his dream, he had to address the enemy. And as he spoke of the enemy inside of his dream, people began to rally and people began to unify. An enemy as a thing. When we think about cancer, we think of cancer as a disease. But the moment we started to change the context of cancer into the enemy of life, we became righteous. We became certain that we would find a cure. We created causes and initiatives because it is now the enemy of life. And because it is the enemy of life, we made a decision that we were going to push. We were going to push to solve the problem. In each and every one of these examples, it was clear that knowing and identifying your enemy boosts your performance, your results, and your ambition to succeed. It causes us to have more determination, more focus, and more willingness to keep on enduring because the enemy stands between us and the victory. Now, I want you to think about your life for a moment. Have you ever heard someone say this before? They won't let me do it. They are keeping me from accomplishing it. They won't let me have what I really want in my life. My question is this: who is they? Who's this they? They is the enemy. That's who they're talking about. I'm going to succeed in spite of my background, my race, my religion. I'm going to succeed in spite of. In spite of. What is the in spite of? That's the enemy once again. They are driven not by the vision and the goal. They're driven to prove that they are not what they are being claimed to be. They're there to prove that. And they can see it clearly because of the enemy that they're going to accomplish their goals. Now, what I'm sharing with you here is not just my humble opinion about an enemy. This is grounded in research. And research that goes back to the 1890s, and most recently by a professor by the name of Gavin Kilduff, an associate professor in New York, who talked on the subject of consequences and rivals. And in his studies, it was clear that schools, workplaces, and teams who had a rival performed better, were more energized, and more focused on winning, more focused on achieving, all because of this. He even did a study where he took two groups, and he had one group write an essay on their rival, and another group write an essay on a non-competitor. And at the end of the study, those that wrote about their rival were more passionate, they were clear, they were focused, and they were emotionally attached to the outcome because that was their rival. Whereas the group that did not have it could not write with that same level of intensity, even though they knew who those other individuals were. It was the rivalry. It was the competition. It was these things that drove them. In his study, he simply concluded that having a rival will boost your performance. Having something to compete against, having that competition, having that enemy will actually make you better. And this idea of an enemy improving your life has been around. And many organizations to date still use it as a method to build unity and commitment and cooperation. And throughout history, this study has been done. One of the most classic rivalries, everyone, is Bill Gates and Steve Jobs. For nearly 30 years, they have competed in the tech wars, competing constantly back and forth against one another to identify who is actually the best. Their competition and their rivalry was based on admiration, not hatred. Each admired the other for their genius, for their abilities. But they, make no mistake, they still viewed each other as an enemy of their success. And they made no bones about it. They would give praise and they would give criticism in the same breath. Gates, one time referring to Steve Jobs, said, "Jobs is a weirdly flawed human being. However, he has a knack for design and getting things to work." Well, Jobs, not without a response back to that, simply said, that company builds products with no culture inside of them. However, I do admire what he has built. Back and forth they would go, spurring each other along, but we in turn benefiting from it. Now, Jobs took this idea of an enemy improving you to heart. And he was once simply said, we at Apple need a nemesis, an enemy, or something to go against. Whether it is real or manufactured, we don't care if it's Microsoft, IBM, or Google. It doesn't matter to us because we need that because it helps us. In his organization, he used this concept to boost productivity, profitability, and loyalty of all you Apple users. Because it's us against them. And that's why you're so loyal right now. Because they're going to get you. You know they're going to get you. It's true. They're going to get you. Jobs believed in that. Now, taking into account Gates and Jobs, each competed against one another. As I said before, their competition was in admiration of one another. Although they viewed each other as an enemy, they respected one another. And they thought that they could learn from their enemies how to be better. That's why they competed so vigorously. And as they competed, we benefited from it. Near the end of Jobs' life, just before his passing, Gates writes him a letter. And in the letter he writes, we made great products, and competition is a positive thing. This idea that an enemy can improve your life has been around. It's an idea that has helped organizations and groups come together. In your own lives, in your own organizations right now, if you say we need more organization, more teamwork, and more unity, you better go find an enemy. When you find an enemy, you will find organization, unity, and understanding. When everyone's got something to point at, then you will find unity. You will find connectivity, and you will find understanding from others. It is when we're vague and unclear that it becomes very difficult to accomplish the things that we want to accomplish, inspiring others and helping others. This idea is not a new idea. It is a historic idea that has been around and sometimes forgotten, that enemies really do improve our lives. And it's been used in many cases in the past as well. Our goal was to reach the moon. Now, I don't know what's on the moon or what we're trying to see on the moon, but we were determined to get there before Russia. I know that for sure. We were determined. We got it. I don't know what's there, but there's something there, and we got to get there first to get it. That's all I know for sure. But there was something there. Coca-Cola and Pepsi, soda wars. They competed vigorously for our love and our attention. And they were prepared to do whatever they had to do, even set people on fire to get our attention. They battled. They got engaged because it was important to them to get our attention. And they made great commercials because of it. But yet each was an enemy of the other. The mission to live strong. We live strong because we understand that cancer is the enemy. We are unified because we know cancer is the enemy of life. This moniker here represents the fight that we will not give up and we will keep pushing. Ladies and gentlemen, your enemies can improve your life if you are willing to face them and find them and truly embrace them. I, in my life, have faced my enemies, and they have made me better. They have improved me. They've helped me grow into the person that I am today. And because of that, I am grateful for them, and I am thankful for them because they have now given me, because I understand what to do, they've given me the privilege now to speak to people and organizations around the country about how they can face their enemies and win. All because I faced my enemies. There was a quote. I'm not sure. I heard it from The Godfather, but maybe it was Machiavelli. But it said, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. I really didn't understand what that actually meant, but now I do. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Why? Because your enemies can improve your life. Thank you.